Over the last few weeks, I've talked a lot about Hazbin Hotel. I predict that's gonna last until January. This show getting a new season has really brought out a lot of things I want to talk about. And I'm like 75% sure at least one of those things will be mostly positive. But that means I've gotten a lot of comments discussing the mechanics of this story. An interesting one is the question of how redemption works and how sins you may commit in hell may affect your ascension. It's kind of complicated because without angelic weapons, murder is not really permanent, at least against another sinner. But then I realized Vaggie's primary weapon is an angelic spear. She is one of the few characters in this show who could permanently off a sinner. And I thought it was weird she kept threatening to do that considering the whole anti-extermination bent of their premise and her backstory. And then after thinking further on it, I realized something. Vaggie is the best original character concept in this entire show, and she is woefully wasted. I mean, really? The conclusion of her arc is dropping the E from her name? Seriously? Now, there are characters who could potentially be more interesting, but those aren't really based on just original ideas. A lot of the interest people have in, say, Adam is based on biblical knowledge and I think a sprinkle of Adam from Record of Ragnarok. But of all the characters Vivzi conceived of in her show, Vaggie is, in concept, extremely brilliant. For starters, look at the two plots Hazbin Hotel runs through. Redemption and the conflict between heaven and hell. Essentially, to quell hell's ability to fight heaven, yearly exterminations were run to reduce its population. These have been happening for 7 years, run by Adam and an army of exorcist angels. Charlie Morningstar, the princess of hell, cannot stand to see her people suffer like that, and so she came up with a plan. Redemption as an alternative to extermination. So she started a hotel in an effort to prove that redemption is possible. And right there, working alongside her, is her girlfriend Vaggie, a secret ex-exorcist. So, right off the bat, Vaggie immediately draws attention to redemption as tied directly to the driving force of the narrative. Exterminations are treated as flatly a bad thing, and besides Vaggie, the two characters who partake in it we get any real dialogue from are portrayed as violent sadists and the bad people of heaven. You might consider Sarah to be part of that, but the show does want us to think of her as a good person. Even though she's still the one who approved of the idea and never makes a move to stop it until redemption is proven to be possible. You know, I wonder how the characters in this show would treat extermination as a concept if redemption really wasn't possible. So, in this show where the characters are looking to be redeemed for the evils they have done, we have Vaggie, a character seeking redemption for partaking in the evil that is the driving force of the show. At least I'm pretty sure she's seeking redemption. The show doesn't really treat it like that. As it stands, the exterminations are kind of the only evil that the characters in hell directly judge. They are pretty blasé about pretty much every evil thing around them except exterminations. It's crazy to think that besides Vaggie, the entire staff of the hotel is technically slave labor. The characters are not really that concerned by the sins the other characters did on Earth, but the exterminations are something that they are much less accepting of. If there's one thing that should seriously test their belief in the idea of redemption, it's someone who was involved in the harm that they are most concerned about being done against them. I mean, in general, of course, I'm pretty sure Angel worries about Valentino a lot more than he cares about most exorcists. Except, no one really cares. People really gloss over the fact that Vaggie helped commit genocide at least 3 times, which makes all the other complaints about it ring hollow.
Tell me, Princess, what exercise could one do to be forgiven for being a murderer?
You're so fucking funny.
I am funny.
Vox goes on an anti-Angel, anti-Charlie propaganda spree, and he genuinely could not give less of a shit about the fact that Charlie is banging an exterminator. And by that I mean using that information against them. I know he wouldn't really care about it. This could bring in such drama because Vaggie's redemption is tied to the state of the people around her. And looking at that could be a mirror into how redemption is looked at by the people of heaven who may have been victimized by sinners. But no one cares. Charlie's biggest concern seems to be the fact that Vaggie thought she'd care, but what about everyone else? Or does the show think that by simply stopping being an exterminator, Vaggie has completed her redemption arc off screen? That's so boring. I mean, look at Sarah. She basically has the best redemption in the entire show, and it definitely would not be the case if all she'd done is stop approving of the exterminations. It's also weird because I do not get the feeling Vaggie cares or thinks highly of most sinners. She's made friends with the hotel patrons and staff, but I have seen nothing to indicate that the mindset that allows her to participate in the exterminations is all that changed. All I see is her threatening to exterminate people and going along with Charlie because she loves her. There's also the fact that Vaggie is, essentially, the only character in all of hell who knows anything about heaven and how winners live in it. Lucifer says he can't go there, and episode 5 was Charlie's first visit. So, what's heaven like? What was Vaggie doing while she was there? Exterminations only happen once a year. What else did she do? And unless she's 7 years old, she had to have done stuff before that. She seems to really dislike the place and consider them overly judgmental, which does raise interesting world building questions. And I can't help but wonder what life she lived there that she's so willing to never go back. Is she just that codependent on Charlie? Does she know about Lilith? It feels like Lilith being in heaven wouldn't be widely known, but Lute knew about it. I mean, this isn't a big thing, it's just something that's occurred to me. Does she have any opinion about the fact that most of heaven didn't know that the exterminations were happening? Because she would have had to be one of the people keeping it a secret. Speaking of which, what about exterminators? The show treats them as faceless goons that the characters can mow down with no further thought, but Vaggie is proof that they are people. Does no one care? Does she not care? Her whole flashback to Adam and Lute being abusive to her fellow soldiers is hard to reflect the idea that heaven may not be as good as she and Charlie act like it is, but it rings kinda hollow when we've seen her kill the same people alongside sinners that 5 years ago she'd have had no qualms in killing herself. What was her mindset as an exterminator? What did she think of sinners? What changed? Is it just because Lute brutalized her? Speaking of that, Vaggie's big moment is letting a child sinner go, and that's treated as a huge betrayal. But it raises further questions. Like, a child cannibal sinner? What's that about? How about the show looks into that in relation to how sin and falling into hell works? Like, can you be blamed if your parents indoctrinate you into a sinful mindset? Or did the child only exist to give Vaggie a reason to disobey orders and become part of the main cast? Does Vaggie have any strong opinions on children in hell? Encountering one is why she was so merciful, but it never comes up again, even though season 1 did have us entertain the citizens of Cannibal Town. I feel like if I say that we'll see more of that in season 3, it'll be like a curse that makes sure that we never do. You see how easily ideas for this just flow out? Vaggie is in an incredibly interesting position as a character in a way that only this show could really do. She knows the most about the heaven that getting other characters into is a goal for her girlfriend and the standards they may or may not uphold. She lived there. She believed in their cause so much she assisted in multiple exterminations against the people she now lives with. In this story of redemption, she is uniquely situated to seek forgiveness directly from the community she's done harm to and try to help them atone so they may ascend into heaven. Exorcists are kind of treated as the most one-dimensionally evil group in the entire story. They have barely any character beyond enjoying killing, yes, even including Lute and Adam. And Lute has only really gotten some more depth in season 2 because she wants to avenge Adam by killing more. Valentino, the guy who sexually abuses the most tragic main character, is portrayed as more sympathetic. And it makes a little sense from the perspective of the characters in hell to not really like the people who come down to kill them. But imagine the reveal that Vaggie used to be one of them, and she's changed, kind of. It can be a source of conflict where the hotel has to consider the people of heaven and their capacity for redemption, especially if the end goal is to go live among them. Could exorcists also change for the better? And would it be hypocritical to not explore that idea? She's also essentially evidence for Charlie's beliefs, an angel who did bad things and was cast into hell. People often ask why Charlie thinks sinners can change after thousands of years of them never doing so, but Vaggie does seem like she'd be her case study that if it can happen in one direction, it should be able to happen in the other.
Angels don't make mistakes.
You really think that?
That is, if Vaggie even is a fallen angel. I don't think anyone refers to her as such, and she didn't fall so much as get left behind. She could probably go back, and instead of a demon form, she just regrew her wings. Vaggie essentially crosses the heaven and hell plotline with the themes of redemption, opens up world building questions in how the heavens may see hell, and what in hell could possibly sway someone who seriously believes in heaven's cause to go against what they've been told. And she could even fill in holes people have when it comes to asking questions of the character's motivations, specifically of Charlie's motivation, because really, to this point, we still don't entirely know why she has such a strong belief that sinners can change besides, I don't know, maybe her mom said it? Really, Vaggie is such a brilliant idea that I think it was simply a pure masterstroke on Vivziepop's part to create her. I also think she's completely wasted. Season 1 is so uninterested in any of that they invent a conflict that doesn't exist for her to sing about with Carmilla, about how she should fight for love instead of hate, and use that as a catalyst for her to grow her wings back. Even though her entire motivation this whole time has pretty flatly been to protect the love of her life. Like, look at the other song she sings with Carmilla. And yes, I know Vaggie feels very upset with heaven and also seems to think of them as really judgmental, but that's not enough for you to really claim that this whole time of season 1 she was fighting for hate instead of love, when clearly her biggest motivation has been protecting Charlie. And you know what? That would probably be fine too. Give Vaggie a vendetta and hatred of heaven that is very deep-seated and also secretly something motivating her besides her love for Charlie, and then use this song as a way for, I don't know why I'm still talking, the show clearly does not have time for that, and also pretty clearly will not make time for it either. And you know what? Season 2 is even worse. She just runs around the hotel, tries to talk Charlie out of being an idiot, very unsuccessfully, and changes her name from Vaggie to Vaggie. I have been dead naming her this entire video, by the way. Did you even notice? It's funny. Writing this video has made me a lot more interested in Vaggie as a character. But conversely, it has also made me a lot more disappointed in how she is written, because now I have expectations, which is the source of all disappointment. People excuse the show a lot with the fact that it's only gotten 8 episodes per season, but you know what? All that does is it really shows you exactly what the story prioritizes. And it is clearly not Vaggie. Shout out to my patrons and channel members, A, Skyman, and Jark Evolved. What are your thoughts? Tell me in the comments below, and while you're at it, don't forget to hit the like button, hype if you're on mobile, and subscribe for more content. Thank you, and good day.